People who, in many instances, have absolutely no clue what they are doing.
Okay.
The Marxists, the anarchists,
Hey, Natalie.
the looters,
Yes.
Knock, knock.
dictators,
Who's there?
the Marxists,
9/11.
the anarchists,
9/11 who?
the looters.
You said you would never forget.
Even though that punchline's so obvious, I love it so much.
Okay, it's an Ian Blather on 9/11, episode 111.
Ooh, nice.
All in a week with the Friday the 13th. So, we've got some crazy vibes going on here. Things are rattling around in my head. My mind is racing.
Like your
Sounds
brain?
like yeah, my brain sounds like constantly because I also just watched a debate yesterday. Anyway, it's an Ian Blather, where we blather inanely, where we teach you, dear listener, that I have no manners, and also that
Socialism is when no car.
And
Man,
when you
nice. It's an old one.
finally come to accept that all-important fact, then you can join the hordes, the trembling masses
Writhing.
of writhing, dripping, disgusting,
Smelly?
flea-ridden,
Yeah.
smelly groups. That's the word I was looking for. No, of fans that also call themselves.
Headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
So anyway,
Yeah.
it's 9/11 before Friday the 13th. What did you do to celebrate today, Natalie?
I made a joke in poor taste about a national tragedy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I kind of you forget that it's not received well with everyone.
You what, Doug? You forget? On today of all
hashtag-
days.
I will hashtag never forget. How my coworker reacted to one of my jokes today. I forget even what I said, but. I immediately kind of changed the subject about how, it's crazy, like all this time and how people make jokes about 9/11.
Family Guy made jokes a long time ago about it, but
Oh, yeah. That's kind of where the conversation went. It's like, come on, you ever seen Team America World Police? Get out of here.
I like that Instagram joke that I saw where it was like the guy's leaving. He's like, and his roommate's like, "You got everything?" He's like, "Yeah, I got my phone, my wallet, whatever." And he's like, I think you forgot something." And he's like, "What?" And then is like, 9/11. Yeah, it's like, it was a while back, but
Oh, yeah.
It made
That's a
me
good one. Just never forget.
Yeah.
Same thing. Who are the fastest readers in the world? 9/11 victims. They can go through 110 stories in a few seconds.
oh my god, that's so awful. I really hope anyone listening to this obviously was not like personally affected. That would be like really, really sad.
I hope
obviously,
everyone
to
listening
be
to this was
involved in a
personally
national
affected.
tragedy and all of
Yeah.
that. But it's been a long time. Fucking get over it. No.
No. Well,
No.
I mean, we go through national tragedies over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
it's called gallows humor, and plus it's called. I've never
America.
even stepped foot on the East Coast, so I don't care.
That's what those
No, I'm
troops
just
were
kidding.
doing over in
No,
the Middle
but,
East after 9/11 was protecting my right to make jokes about people dying in 9/11.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh wait, no. What
That's
those
what
troops
they
were
were
doing
doing.
was committing 1,000 more 9/11s over in a different country.
Yeah, for like 25 years.
and you know
or
what?
However many years it was.
To those people who get upset 23 years
25,
later,
because it hasn't been that long.
you know what?
What?
You can ask them, what's the difference between 9/11 and a cow? you can't milk a cow for 23 years.
Nice.
So- No, I just read those 2 jokes on Reddit. It's not like I came up with them, but anyway.
Reddit on Reddit.
Oh, yeah. That was, you're talking about people doing it a long time ago. That's that notable thing about Gilbert Gottfried, how, because he was really edgy often, or just really crude and obscene too. He got completely booed when it was 18 days after 9/11. It's just like the end of the month, and up on stage where I think this was like at a roast or an award show or something. I mean, it was not the place as far as I know, just from what I know about the story. And he said, I have to catch a flight to California. I can't get a direct flight, though. They said they have to stop at the Empire State Building first.
Oh, oh my God. Yeah, like not even 3
And it
weeks
was like,
later.
oh, God. Yeah, it's like not even 3 weeks. And it's, 3,000 people died. And, oh, man. And he's like telling it, in New York?
Yeah.
You can't even do that 3 years later without getting booed. So shout out to him. May he rest in peace. So
Yeah. Let's make fun of him for being
Patience,
dead.
Iago.
Yeah.
That's what
Stupid
that's what
fucking
he was
loser.
told afterwards. Like, it's been 18 days. Patience, Iago. But anyway.
This is lit.
I knew a guy. He was he died on 9/11. But
He died, and when baboons kidnapped and ate him.
it was completely unrelated to the
I feel like,
terrorist attack
is
on
it
American
more
soil.
like crass or disgusting or whatever, thoughtless, whatever those kind of words you want to use about people joking about it? Is it worse to joke about it? Or is it worse to do like what we were talking about, like what Donald Trump was doing was like lying in a racist way about it afterwards and like perpetuating
Yeah.
like Muslim in America,
Islamophobia.
especially people from like literally anywhere
It was
looking like they're
disgusting
from
how he was perpetuating Muslims, is what you
Muslim
said.
hate. I was
Good
going to say, but
Lord.
it's not just
Oh,
Muslims
no.
because like Sikhs were part of that. Literally,
Yeah.
Indian people, Pakistani people, anyone who looked like they even looked like close from anywhere in the Middle East were like
Yeah.
under like violent threat day in and day out following 9/11, and
Oh, yeah.
people like Donald Trump were perpetuating that lying to seem cool.
Going out of his
honestly, like
way.
saying he's like people jumping up down cheering or whatever he's bullshit he's kind of saying because of what? Because he wants to have something to say or to be like, I don't know what his whole
No,
purpose
because he
of
was probably on board already. He probably already just hated, South Asian people and Muslims. And I was just like, oh, yeah, of course. They were out there celebrating. And then it just goes from there. And he just keeps telling the same fucking lie over and over again.
Yeah.
He's disproven. And it's like, there's no reason other than your bigotry to continue with this.
Yeah, 'cause it's
And,
not even funny.
That's back when...
It's at
that's
least the
back when
joke
he
is
was just
funny.
a fucking
Yeah.
loudmouth, where he was just before he was even doing the birther.
Hey,
stuff.
it's 9/11.
And even then,
it's 9/11 on
he
9/11
was-
right now.
Oh, wow! Wednesday,
Moment of
September
silence.
11th at 9:11 p.m.
Silence is really good for podcasts.
Oh, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I could
couldn't
watch
get
it. Looked painful.
Yeah. Dang it! I was trying to bring it up there. But yeah, when it comes down to it,
Mental illness is when you're right wing.
and that's why.
Truly.
But
Truly.
so
That's a good segue into this next section, which is the comments section of a New York Post article about the debate.
which one are you reading?
I'm reading the one that was just like on their main page, which is called Kamala Harris clearly won debate over Donald Trump, but VP got no bump from voters after performance, poll.
This is exactly what I told Dad would happen. That's kind of funny. We were talking about it. He stopped by my work, and we were just talking about the debate coming up that night yesterday. Yeah, that was God, my life is a blur right now. It's because of my fast car. Everything's a blur.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I drove my car off a cliff. It was crazy. It was so fast. Yeah, how I was like, that's the problem. I said the only big movement that can come from something like this, even if Kamala totally whoops on this guy, is a loss for Donald Trump. That's the big movement. He's had this this kind of slow gain, but her overall campaign energy has been waning for good reason. I mean, in terms of like, you've got to hold on to the things that bumped your energy, and then also separate yourself from your predecessor that had such a low energy campaign and didn't have excitement with the base. And she hasn't been doing that, right? And he's like, I don't know. No, I think if it goes well, just wait for him to melt down on TV. I think she could really get another bump up again. I was like, I just think best case scenario for her movement is just staying where she's at. It's like, because that's the problem, is that the bar is so low for Donald Trump, that he could go up there and burp and fart into the microphone even more than I do. And, he's not going to lose his guys.
Yeah.
But you get literally, those weird so-called undecided voters out there who are really just waiting for an excuse to be misogynist or something like that, or just be like,
racist.
he kicked her ass, It's like completely uninformed bozos that have just as much of a right to vote as you and I, that he can pick those people up. Kamala's not going to pick those people up by having a good debate performance. But either way,
like we were saying,
I was just saying, in terms of overall numbers, the way that, the way that polls get answered, the types of people that it's kind of interacting with and stuff, I just didn't see a big bump for her, even if she wiped the floor with him, which she mostly did, of course, because he's a fucking moron. But anyway, go for it.
We were just talking before this about undecided voters, and
Yeah.
it's literally blowing my mind to imagine someone just really oh man, who do I vote for? I just really don't know. It's like,
Boy,
is the decision whether or not to vote at all? Because that's something we can understand a lot more so
Where I was
than
that's way more valid at this point.
being like,
no, I'm just not going to vote.
one of these motherfuckers
Okay,
was already
I
president.
don't want that, but I get it. I totally get it. But if it's just I don't know, I'm still on the fence.
I need
What?
to hear more. It's like that one guy, he was president for 4 years. You should probably kind of...
That's what I was going to say. It's like, you don't even get the cop-out of, I don't know, I know it's kind of crazy, it's kind of wild, but crazier things have happened, maybe something, maybe this is what the country needs, some misguided thing about totally different kind of weirdo
2016.
politician. Yeah, you don't get that anymore. He was already president.
Yeah, and it was
And
a
it was just as
nightmare.
bad as we said it was going to be. Well, it's that's what I liked. I quoted Evan Turner, longtime NBA player. Had some good seasons on the Celtics. I think he played for Portland. Old ET. But after the debate, and of course it's oh man, as soon as some sports figure tweets about politics, you just get the dumbest people replying, where it's just I don't even know why I'm here engaging. But
You're gonna be Laura Ingraham. Shut up and dribble.
But
These-
and even exactly. It's like Laura Ingraham had that locked and loaded. But yeah, let's see here. Oh, he was really posted through it posting through it. But I saw he popped up. I was like, oh, geez, that's Evan Turner. That's right. I follow him. And he said, if you vote for Trump in November, then please don't talk to me about the dumb topics I frequent or if I'm capping, because y'all don't care about logic, so please don't try to vibe with me. I'm actually insulted watching this and trying to hear folks who understand his side. This can't be y'all's leader. And it's just like, and I was like, exactly. Like, just for a more... I mean, an NBA player and millionaire isn't a normal person. I'm saying, like, politically speaking,
Sure.
someone just that doesn't engage with this stuff every day, that's, he takes time to talk about sports. He's on TV and stuff like that. He plays
He's
in
an
the NBA
expert
for
in
12
sports.
years
He's
or
not like a
whatever.
political analyst.
Yeah,
just because
exactly.
he's rich
So,
on
like,
TV. Yeah.
As a further
He's like a
removed
political
person,
normie. Yeah.
just to like, this is what we're talking about, where it's like, it's not, and not even talking about Kamala at all. It's just like, just listen to and watch Donald Trump. He's a fucking joke. He's embarrassing. That's just the end of the story. He's just a weird fucking...
immigrants are eating pets.
Like, cruel. He's just a cruel, strange, out of touch psychopath. It's... Yeah.
He's an all caps post on Facebook. That's what Donald Trump is.
He's the human equivalent of an all caps Facebook post with exclamation, exclamation one, exclamation one, exclamation point at the end. You know?
Honestly,
and that's how he posts on Truth Social half the time too.
And people that genuinely, dumb. I don't want people to say people are dumb or whatever, but thinking doesn't come easily to some people. They're smart in other ways. and
we all have our own privileges, all right?
Yeah.
Not everyone has the same ones.
Totally, and I'm here for it. But this thing about
some people, they have maybe, a very dexterous pair of ring fingers. They just don't have the politics thing figured out.
Yeah, and that will come in handy for them, I'm sure. But I just
and I don't have that. That's their privilege. I don't have that.
It's just really, yeah. I mean, and I wish I did, but instead I have critical thinking skills. Sorry, I wish that I had other kinds of intelligence, but I just don't.
Life is about give and take.
Yeah, you can't have it all, I guess. But so I guess Joe Biden. I saw this in one of the comments. Joe Biden put on a MAGA hat, a Trump hat, and because he's at.
He thumped his hand against his chest. And went they were like, Jesus, Joe.
No, it was
he's like, what? I'm not running for re-election. And then he sped off in a Corvette and ran into a brick wall.
Yeah. And then he liked that hat even more. But so he was at a fire station and he was talking about bipartisan unity after 9/11 and all that kind of stuff, and said we need to get back to that. And there was some, that whatever. He's being a politician, and as a gesture,
is this in response maybe to Dick Cheney endorsing Kamala?
This is because it's 9/11 or whatever. So he's so as a gesture, he gave a hat to a Trump supporter, a Trump hat. This guy's a Trump supporter. Joe Biden's being and so then who said that in the same spirit, Joe Biden should put it on. And Joe Biden put it on. And he just he's being a politician where it's I'm talking about unity.
You heard the sizzling noise.
Yeah, I have to do this. And it's okay, do I agree? Whatever. I think it's the gesture and all that kind of intention is whatever. I feel like that's
literally all it is.
What he's trying to do is talk about unity and saying, so just the response by it's just really funny how stupid his supporters are. How they're see, even Joe, he hates Kamala Harris. He's going Trump now.
God.
It's really
he's jumping ship.
Yeah.
I really think he's voting for Trump, guys.
Yeah, genuinely that when it's and also totally missing the spirit of the
Joe
thing
Biden's
about it
pretty
being
racist.
Unity. You dumb motherfuckers.
That's and immediately seeing his purely just virtue signaling gesture.
Sure,
And not even
yeah.
in a derogatory way.
And-
just this purely performative thing as a as a performance of unity, like you're saying, and taking that and being like, that's why this side's better.
Yeah, and he hates Kamala. He thinks she's a
Yes, that's why
stupid
he
bitch.
hates that side that I hate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
true.
really, and he's being like what I would say. It's like someone who he's like Joe Biden's there in person talking to these people, and if someone says that, what is he gonna do? He's like, he's gonna do it. Like, you're having this kind of back and forth with someone or whatever, you're trying to like appeal, you're trying to do this kind of stuff. That's what you do. You're a politician. You're like out there.
Yeah.
And that's kind
And
of,
he's a kind of, and even that is kind of a older school thing.
and he's
which
been
is
talking
kind of
about
what
unity
got Joe
since
to where he
inauguration
is.
day. He
No,
was,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Since before that, I mean,
Totally.
Joe Biden's the John McCain era of that fading gestures towards unity. Where I don't even know what I'm saying, but
No,
but where it's like, and
reach
that's
across
not
the aisle
working
and bullcrap
anymore.
like that
and
because
it's like, and
used-
that's part of why Joe Biden isn't an effective politician right now, and why he is not the Democratic nominee. Because, I mean, even if he's right, whether you agree with that or not, about unity in certain
Sure.
ways, it's like, even if he's right or not, that gesture is obviously pretty meaningless, because look at how those people responded.
Yeah.
They're unreachable.
It totally. I mean, yeah, trying to unite also, it's like, whatever you want to say, a bygone era, though it was never really, it's like, you talk about unity
Yeah.
back 40, 50 years ago, 80 years ago when Joe Biden was fresh out of college or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, when he had finished his first term as senator.
yeah, then
Yeah,
it was
in
like, could black
1914.
people even vote? When he, like,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Yeah, talk about unity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I hung out with a bunch of racists. Oh, okay.
then,
Because you were the white guy hanging out with racist white guys.
Yeah,
how,
wow, really
unified.
yeah, you're really there for the cause. And just like, yeah, it's interesting too about like unity now in America with the right wing. Like what that means is like, so you want transgender people to unite with the Matt Walshes of the world?
Yeah.
I don't think either people
Yeah,
want that.
I do.
Yeah.
I want them to unite with him with very pointed and sharp items.
Yeah.
And unite very closely with Matt Walsh. Not the conservative commentator, the
actor. We
are
hate
calling
that
him
guy,
out.
that ginger
Oh my
freak.
God, talk about unity. I hate that guy.
He's a national treasure, and I won't have
Yes,
his
I
name
love
besmirched, even for the sake of a joke.
know.
Go back
We
to the
can't even
9/11
joke about
comedy
that.
before you hit Matt Walsh with anything. But
But
I would like to think about
The joke.
darn,
like,
it was way too late.
unity with these New York Post comments. It's just really like we were talking about.
Yeah, let's find some unity here. What do you got?
Yeah, for one thing, I just want to laugh at these dopes that they're like saying, "What has Kamala done as vice president?" And it's like, what? What has literally named one
What should she
thing
have
besides
done?
Dick Cheney? One thing any vice president has ever done besides the job of being a tie-breaking vote in the Senate.
Yeah.
That's the
Or
only thing that
taking
they
over
do.
for a president that dies or leaves.
Sure, and that's like very
Which-
not
And
common.
then she's kind of doing that in terms of being nominated.
But she
and
could not
taking
be
over for this
president,
president
you
who's
know?
leaving.
Yeah.
And you freaked out about that.
And yeah, it's like she's done nothing, and it's like, but she's the vice president. They don't do shit. They don't do
Even the president doesn't do as much as you think they do.
Yeah.
Like when you're just like, yeah, it's like you're the people who think that the president raised the gas prices on his own or something, while Exxon was enjoying record-breaking windfalls.
It's
through this inflation.
Something-
but instead, and then it's like, well, then what has she done? It's like you're coming at this from a completely just uninformed or misinformed perspective is what I'll say, from a place of stupidity,
Ignorance. Yeah.
as I say, as you are.
Psychotic, deranged, cultist liars.
Yeah.
So we can.
I just want to say,
go...
wait, one thing. I want to say how incredibly frustrating.
No, I'm just kidding.
Hassan, I swear to God, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm going to put that ball gag
Stop.
back. Hassan?
Well, there's no question about it that she deserves life term in prison, if not more. And by more, I mean execution for treason.
Okay, but what?
I'm sure this is very much preaching to the choir here, but it is so beyond frustrating to listen to these conversations about the price of things and have corporate greed not be mentioned. It is so fucking frustrating to hear in the media, the mainstream media and all this, and I know that they're not going to be like doing this because of corporations and all this kind of stuff. It seriously
Doesn't mean it's not frustrating.
it makes me want to scream until my vocal cords bleed. Like, it's like, how is it that no one is talking about that? No matter who the president is, they don't have to make prices this high. This thing, okay, so right now in Washington state, there are some ballot measures. That's something we should talk about a little bit closer to the election, is these ballot measures we need to vote no on. There's 4 of them that are being funded, these campaigns to get them on the ballot has been funded by
the real estate excise tax.
That guy, Brian Haywood. I thought he was a billionaire. He's a millionaire. Maybe we've talked about this a little bit before, but
Brian Haywood, you blow me.
yeah, he's a total bozo dope loser that thinks that because he keeps bees as a hobby, he's a part of the American farmers. It's like,
oh, so
like,
he's one of those
head bonked individuals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, one of these nights, one of these great. No, so one of them is Eagles. No, what was I talking about?
Well, for some reason we're talking about corporate greed.
Oh, yeah. So that is
on
corporate greed.
Measures.
There's ballot initiative. Vote no on 2117. This is something that is about rolling back here in Washington state, corporations can pay for their carbon emissions, and then the money that they're taxed, that funding goes into, salmon protections. There's it's been billions of dollars, that's been raised from these, blah, blah, blah. It's it's not perfect, but it's like a climate commitment thing. And it's this 2117 would roll that back and make it so we couldn't put any of those other laws like that into place. And it would make a huge fucking difference to funding for a lot of things. And it's it's not a perfect environmental
backwards, all negative wording thing. It's so stupid.
And
it's
they use it. They're
you can convince people that it's good for them. And it's never in the best interest of the public.
And
ever.
what it is they say it's what's making gas so expensive. And it makes me, it's okay, so what you're saying is we want to roll this back, and to make gas less expensive, I have to put my faith in these oil companies to lower the cost of gas. And that's what you're saying we should do. That's going to work here. Because in no part of this conversation, obviously from the other side of Brian Haywood, is it at...
Hey, would you blow me?
Yeah, it's just a given that they have to raise prices on gas because they have to pay for their carbon emissions and things like that. And it's but they don't have to. Yeah. They don't have to do that.
They could just make less profit because they're being taxed.
Yeah, they could just make less profit on something that is pumping, pollutants into our air,
killing the earth,
and that's why they're using that money to pay to make sure that, and for the first time in years, there's been places here in Washington state where salmon are now able to come up these rivers, because of some of this funding that has gone into projects that has helped, the salmon population, which is absolutely critical to the ecosystem here, and like oxygen sort of supplies for the like these all these kind of, they're like hugely important, hugely incredibly important to the ecosystem here, and like rivers and streams and
there's salmon. Salmon's awesome.
It's just
you want to see the salmon gone?
And there's
Good
things
Lord.
about like clean like school buses going like electric. There's different like a lot of funding from this tax that is like already earmarked. It's like millions of dollars here, tens of millions of dollars here, millions and millions and stuff. And it's like
there's a lot of waste and badly spent stuff, but there's also things that are set up to succeed.
And there are salmon going up these streams.
Moneyed interests, get in the way of success.
And
people around here seem to take for granted and forget that we live in what's called we're referred to as the evergreen state, and that we're completely covered in either forests or agricultural lands. And if it's not one of those, it's tech companies and money and clean energy and all this stuff. It's like it could just be so much worse.
And these companies don't need more profits. It's like, why is that so fucking radical to think? It's like, why is it so radical to think? What is it? Like, why can't we talk about how fucking stupid it is to have these fiduciary responsibilities where the people that are making this money are people that already have money, and the people that have to pay for this are the people that have to pay way more of a percentage of their income towards the stupid fucking gas. Do you think it matters to these millionaires that gas could be like $10,000 a gallon to a billionaire, and it literally would not matter to them? It would not make a difference at all in their lives. If gas was literally $150 a gallon, it would not matter at all. It wouldn't make a difference to them. To us, when gas is $5 a gallon...
Sounds like you're pretty into this, buddy.
and gas, that's like 2117. That's a lot of like trying to get people to vote yes on it, is because of the gas prices were really high here in Washington State, and they're saying it's because of that, and maybe partially due to that, but also it's like this is kind of like long-term goals too, We
are really high here in Washington State, bro.
They were Washington State had the highest gas prices in the nation for a while, and
we also have the highest gas tax.
And
but what's so funny is that then they'll be like, we've got the highest gas tax, and look at our gas prices. Yeah, you know what this highest gas tax is? It's like 12 cents a gallon. It's like, it doesn't really work like that. You have the way that the markets work, People will pay that much for gas because they have to. So that's what they're going to charge you. So, you know what? And
they'll literally charge you that.
Dad, he was in line at the convenience store, and he said the guy ahead of him, he had this big truck outside or something, and he got something from the lady and some gas, and he's like, "Jeez," he's like, Dad was saying, it was probably $3.99 a gallon or something there, and he's like, "Man, around here it's crazy. I'm on my way back to Oklahoma. I live in Oklahoma. It's $2.80 a gallon." And, and the lady's making
super
small
cheap
talk.
in Texas,
She's like, "Geez,
too."
wow, yeah." And he's just like, "Yeah, I just can't believe the way this is." And so after the guy leaves, then Dad walks up to the counter and he's like, "You got to think about this, right? That guy's talking about how cheap gas is over there in Oklahoma." My first thought, like I told Dad, I was like, "Yeah, but he has to live in Oklahoma." And Dad was like, "No, Oklahoma
Dad
can be
used
really
to live
nice."
there.
I was like, "I know, yeah." But he's like, "Think about this, maybe it's $1.20 more here." He's like,
and our minimum
what
wages.
their minimum wage is down there? It's like $8 an hour. He says, "What do you make here?" And she says, "Gosh, I make 16." It's like, yeah. So think about that. Half of your wages, if you cut it by 50%,
and you get $1
how
off
much are
a
you going to
gallon.
save over the course of a year? Yeah, with $1.20 a gallon, a couple $1,000 bucks, something. depending on what you're driving. He's like, it's not even, she's like, wow, that's so true. It's so simple. She was like, he was kind of proud of himself. He was like, man, she was like, we'll talk again. I like talking. I thought it was good or an interesting thing. Just a normal working class person who's like, and she's telling him, gosh, I like talking about this stuff. I like talking to someone who wants to talk about the economics in the news and stuff like that. She's like, we'll talk again. He's like, oh, yeah, it's all pretty straightforward, And I'm like, yeah, exactly. People, because those are the things, too. Just a straight up gas price up. Like, people talk about that. People understand that. And like you're saying, they don't, we have the wrong sort of like media infrastructure, the way that all this self-perpetuates into brainwashing all of us and into talking about the wrong thing, when it's like we should be just overall, not like the Democrats should be or whatever it is. We as a society and working class people should be looking at the very simple and relatable and easy things that actually affect it, like corporate profits, And you know what? You know who did that really well? Bernie fucking Sanders.
Yeah.
That's why it's so frustrating that someone like him, it doesn't have to be Bernie, but someone like that who had the same, that same foundation of, you know what? He's just straightforward with it. He tells it how it is. The same reason there's that strange percentage of people that went from Bernie to Trump in 2016, because he was like, he's a real guy. He's telling me like it is. That's what he does. If you can simplify it enough without being stupid,
not condescending,
because then you're treating, because then you're treating people like they're stupid, whether they are or not.
But
you got, and his whole thing was, hey, the top 1% have this much of the money. All of you guys have none of it. It's simple, it's true, and it's actually like a real, maybe not like, it's not the root cause. It's not American capitalism that he's saying, although just even saying that he was a democratic socialist was enough over the line for Americans. But like, it's that simple, and some idiot like Trump, he can get in with some idiotic lie, and if it cuts the right way, is simple and digestible enough throughout all of his long-winded rants and his weave.
It's called the weave.
Like he said, it's
college
called the
professors
weave.
say that I do it
English
perfectly.
College professors. They say it's like nothing they've ever seen before.
Humby and I love that so
I'm
much.
sure they haven't.
Because they don't work in a mental hospital. They're college English professors.
They're English professors, Of course they haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah, but then Kamala says something.
Because they're not speaking English.
Yeah, Kamala says something about we shouldn't allow people to gouge prices for food so people don't starve, and people are like, she's a communist. She's a communist for not wanting
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I will say Dad has used that example, and I think it's really good. Like he puts that into perspective, but it does, like, over the course of a year, it's like, what does it save you over the course of the year? It's like maybe a couple, $1,000, couple $1,000 or whatever. It does. That's not a lot over the course of a year.
But the cost of
sort
being poor.
of it is, though. When you work paycheck to paycheck, it's like I was feeling it when I was spending $85 to fill up my gas tank when the gas was really high. It was like, this is expensive.
Like, am I going to be able to make it to work every day before my next paycheck?
And if you have like a little bit of breathing room,
what if something goes wrong with my car?
You can have like a holistic view of like a whole year long, and it's like it doesn't matter. Like Dad will say, he's like, even the cost of gas, he's like, finding the cheapest gas, it doesn't really matter.
That's how we got into that conversation.
That much,
Next
he's
door
like,
to me.
he's like, whatever is easiest. It is like whatever, it doesn't.
Yeah.
If you're really pinching pennies, it does matter, of course. If $10 is going to be in your bank account before your paycheck, the cost of gas is incredibly important because it is how you make money, because you have to get to work so often because you can't take public transportation because stupid billionaires like Brian Haywood. Okay, another one of his ballot initiatives, of
Brian
course.
Haywood, you blow
Let's
me.
talk about the other one that is like 2189 or whatever it is how he wants to not pay capital gains tax on stocks that are sold over $250,000.
Oh.
So
for
you
stocks.
so
Okay, I was
stocks
thinking
and bonds
real
and
estate
shit
one.
like that. So you don't want to pay a
Capital
7% capital gains tax on stocks and things that have been done over $250,000, because I don't know if you know, all these people that I see out here getting signatures, it's like, how is this helping you? You don't have even close to $250,000, and that first $250,000, you know what? You don't have to pay capital gains tax on that.
Yeah.
And then the stuff on top of that, it's 7%. People are paying that much or more for their fucking mortgage. Just so you guys
Yeah.
know. And you don't want to pay it
That's the
on
interest rate I just got on my car loan.
the stocks that you're like trading or cashing or whatever over $250,000.
Okay, hey, it's 40 minutes.
Oh.
We haven't talked about the debate very much.
Oh yeah,
We
let's talk
we gotta return
about
to
Kamala's
these.
face being so bitchy and like how people are like Trump would never be
Well,
like
one
that.
One thing, outside of these New York Post articles that we're both looking at different ones about Kamala having a bitch face, but
Being very unpresidential.
one thing that I saw. Oh, and ding, ding, ding! Breaking news. 40 minutes into the program,
Yep.
our favorite musician, our favorite person, our personal friend of the show, Taylor Swift,
Oh my god,
endorsed Kamala Harris. Oh my god. Oh my god.
She's gonna win the election in a landslide!
Stop.
Owned. Consider yourself owned.
Wow,
because you
finally.
are.
But
What did it take?
so then on the hill here, conservative commentator Megyn Kelly tore into both the ABC anchors who moderated Tuesday night's presidential debate and singer Taylor Swift after the pop star endorsed Vice President Harris after the clash concluded. Taylor, quote, Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala Harris. She posts a picture of herself with her cat, Kelly said as part of her post-debate commentary. You can kiss your sales to the Republican audience goodbye, Taylor. Hope you enjoyed them while you had them. Number one, if that was true,
she
do you really think she should care about that? She's a billionaire.
She endorsed Joe Biden last time.
Yeah, exactly,
Against Donald Trump.
But, yeah, let's see. Kelly boasted that she is, quote, allowed to criticize Taylor Swift, saying, I don't give a shit who gets upset.
Oh my god.
Oh, she's trying
She's
so
so
hard. I
fucking
keep
cringe.
forgetting that Megyn Kelly is still around until something like this. It's like, oh, that's right. She has like a regular show, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, she looks weird.
Swift, in a late night Instagram post just minutes after the debate wrapped up, wrote that she'll be voting for Harris. Blah blah blah. I read her post on Instagram. It's whatever. Kelly
very
separately echoed complaints from former President Trump and many of his allies about moderators David Muir, right? Muir? I forget. He said it like 5 times, and Lindsay Davis. Did you see? Someone tweeted, they're like, this has to be the biggest discrepancy in forehead sizes of two people sitting next to each other in history of television. Because, like, not only I noticed, too, I was like, damn, that lady's got a huge forehead. Like, you know,
It's
whatever.
called a 5-head.
Yeah, but then when he put them together, I was like, that guy has a tiny forehead. It's like his head
It's
is
called
like flat
representation.
on top and his brows way down. He looked like Paul George. But let's see, and yeah, I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News. They did exactly what their bosses wanted them to do, she said.
Moderate?
It's very easy to look like you know what you're doing when both moderators are entirely on your side. And my only thoughts, and of course I'm biased against Donald Trump, but I'm not too biased in favor of Kamala Harris. I like watching these. I think it's interesting, and I think Trump is an absolutely psychotic moron. But it's like, my first thoughts after this, like, geez, they just were way too nice to Trump. I was like, they let him get away with so much. They gave him so much leeway. They wouldn't, when they asked him to answer a question, they never would return to it because he would not answer the questions that were asked. They'd turn his mic back on multiple times so that he could get the last word in, where it was just like, at some points I was like, what's the point of having these mics turned off? And he got that one point where she said something off mic with her mic turned off when he was telling another blatant lie, and he was like, please be quiet. And he like shut her up right there.
Yeah, I bet he stopped himself from calling her uppity. I bet he wanted to so bad.
Exactly.
Like,
it's exactly what it felt like. And I was like, you think that the moderators were like ganging up on Trump with Harris just because they live fact checked his crazy thing about immigrants eating pets? God.
And
it's like, I thought that was only the weird thing of the day on Twitter, because I remember seeing people talking about that where it was just like, well, this is racism, right? It's just racism. And like, people are still standing by it. They're like, oh yeah, well, here's the 911 call from this lady who saw like some Haitian guy carrying a dead goose down the street. And I'm like, what? So what? Some Karen calls the cops because a guy is carrying a goose? That is not the same as immigrants eating your pets if you leave them outside.
Isn't a goose
a goose is pretty commonly eaten. It's one of the most commonly hunted fowl in America, as far as I know. You know, it's like, oh yeah, well, if it was a duck, would you have been?
Did he have like a shirt on that was like?
And a duck is a more common pet.
Was he just like walking around like draped in the Haitian flag or something? Was he like, or what?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
the one of the most viral ones, I saw the picture of the guy multiple times with these crazy right-wingers on Twitter, which is most of Twitter now. And the most viral photo of a guy carrying a dead goose down the street, number one, turns out they're like, yeah, they tracked it down. Didn't take too long. The local, because Springfield, Ohio is what it was. In Springfield, Ohio is where all this is. So the Springfield local news quickly tracked it down. They said, number one, this guy isn't a Haitian immigrant. Number two, it's a goose. It's not someone's pet. Number three, it wasn't in Springfield. It was in Columbus. And it's like, none of it's true or real. And it's like, is this a psyop to distract from the very real and very strange stories of RFK Jr., massacring animals like bears and whales and supposedly eating a dog in a backyard barbecue? Because those were all over Twitter too, just a couple weeks ago. And now, instead, right-wing weirdos have their story of the day, and Trump repeats it in a presidential debate on ABC News. And even that is just a little too far for ABC for whatever reason, where he's like, okay, we've already fact-checked this. We talked to the manager of the health department or whatever it was, the city manager in Springfield or something like that. There's been this is a hoax. It's not a real thing. Like,
do you remember?
They knew he was going to say something about it. They had that ready because it's like, nope, we're not going there. We're not going there. That's too weird, man. Get that off of our network channel.
Yeah,
this is ABC.
Fucking, you're an all caps Facebook post right now. Do you remember? I just want to say that
a racist one.
Do you remember that? It's so fucking racist. Obviously, it's so gross and weird, and I can't even believe they're doing that. I just want to bring up something really quick. Do you remember in Tri-Cities where that probably unhoused, obviously mentally ill, or at least very high on drugs guy got caught on Columbia Drive having sex with an animal? Like, do you remember that? It was like in the news.
No.
Like,
oh boy.
Yeah. So, and I don't.
Well, isn't the Mr. Hands video from here in Washington too?
Yeah. Where, like, anyways, but yeah, and also Donald Trump was just this, like, they're saying, like, oh, they're so biased. It's like, so because they're saying, like, so you should just be able to go up on stage and have the moderators just ask questions and just sit there as you're saying that people are stabbing babies in the head after they're born and throwing them onto freeways, and so semis can drive over them, and you can just like, you're just like pushing pregnant women, into front of, I don't know, whatever you're doing. Like, you can just say whatever you want and just have
R.M. Brown
was
saying that today,
like,
where he's like,
pushback on
why
it.
don't you just go all the way? He's
Yeah.
like, if you can just say whatever you want, just go up. Yeah, where he was like, I've heard they're taking babies out of the womb and they're staging baby wrestling matches against each other and pitting them in fights to the death. Or is that just, you're just making shit up anyway? Why not just make up even more?
Yeah, I feel like
where it's like,
Trump is like one step away from legit saying that the Democrats are doing like child sacrifices and like really going full straight on like QAnon or whatever that
going
fucking
full
shit
2016?
is. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't think he said it in so many, like, I didn't think that he was gonna go with the pets thing. I was like, I feel like he's too much of a, like, he's a better politician than that. For some reason, I don't know why I thought that, but it just seemed like, I think he just was really,
getting old.
I think he was really biting his tongue, and it felt like that, I remember when it happened, like, he just really let it out because he hated being on the stage with a black woman. He hated, I think he hated that. That's what Seth Meyers made the joke where Hillary Clinton had told Kamala that, just like bait him into, like saying some dumb shit, and
don't get dragged into it like Biden did.
Yeah, and Seth Meyers was like,
man.
"Oh, I have an idea, Kamala. Just show up as a black woman." Like that's like
Yeah, exactly.
that's all it took. And he's like, so I bet he wanted. I feel like he fucking hated being talked to, like, by a woman, of course, like, by a person of color, like, he really was, like,
She
he just
started
was, like,
saying she was black.
furious in some of these
I don't know
things.
when that happened.
Like,
Yeah. No, there was a point, I remember, when instead of her referring to the former president, Donald Trump, instead of referring to the Trump administration would want to do this to you. When she took her turn from doing that focused thing that's good for them to do, be like, no, hey, American people, this is what I'm saying. This is what this guy wants to do.
Yeah.
It's pretty normal. And when she took like a 5-minute detour and was saying, you, she was talking to him and saying, you said this, you wanted to do this. It was noticeable. It was, I was like, ugh. Like, he's such a fucking crybaby that I was just like, man, this is really getting to him. Like, the gall of these people in the New York Post to then say, I can't believe how unprofessional all these faces that she was making was. And it's just like, did you watch that guy? I mean, they're both like that. They're human beings. It's ridiculous to say that you're in a debate, you don't get the turn to talk, but a camera is on your face right now. Why wouldn't you be making faces, making emotions, reacting, taking it, actually, instead
especially,
of what do we want, Pete Buttigieg
especially
or something?
when this person is saying Haitian immigrants are eating your pets and babies are being murdered by doctors after they're born, and
the people need to know that you find that insane,
because it is insane. It's like her faces, it's like people are like, oh, now I'm gonna vote for Trump because she looked like a bitch, and it's like, well, then you're an idiot. Like, you just genuinely, you are not, like, you're voting. Like, the reason that you're voting, okay, well, it seems like a lot of this is probably going to be some sexist bullshit, but it's like, you're, like, literally the worst kind of voter in that you're not even listening to the words. Like, you're not in any way, even if there's not, as, whatever you want to talk about, substance in presidential
so now you're
debates.
against deaf people.
But
deaf people shouldn't be able to vote. They can't look at people's faces and make their decisions based on that.
You're not...
They were trying to vote for the person of color because Donald Trump put on so much makeup, he looked darker than Kamala yesterday. Under those lights.
So
it was like he was up there in blackface.
Yeah, they said change the tone, and I think he got the wrong message.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Nice.
These people are sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just
That's
could have
true.
just gone up on stage and said
The N-word.
over and over again. And
I think
a
he
bunch of people would
probably
just stick
wanted
with
to
him.
when she was talking like
Yeah,
that.
probably.
So
We could get back to, and we could talk about this whenever. Who cares? No one listens to this show. But
out
there
to
were
Hamdi,
some.
if you're
I mean, that good old Miranda Devine article in the NYP, the New York Puss. Just want to say it like that. The many nasty. For one thing, I don't know. I'm not an English professor like all of Donald Trump's friends, but this headline. So, the many nasty faces of Kamala Harris, VP only reinforced the fatal inauthenticity of her debate performance. But the way that the headline is written, it is the many, nasty faces of Kamala
What?
Harris. That doesn't seem right to me.
it's not. That's why it doesn't seem right, because
It's just
that's
that.
not.
Well, I mean, it's trying to be that the many faces and the nasty faces. The many nasty face. But if that was what you're trying to get across, it would be the many and nasty faces, not the many, nasty faces of Kamala Harris.
And
it's just
using
Miranda Devine sucks.
using the word
But-
nasty is so nasty. I mean, like, it's
Well, and here you go.
so fucking just like beyond. It's like, what are you, like a journalist? Yeah, give me a fucking break.
Going back to no, she's an op-ed writer.
Yeah, I guess.
But, going back to what you were just saying, she's like, oh, but on the optics, because Trump, he failed, he got baited, but on the optics, Harris committed far worse self-harm. Here we go. If you switched off the sound for the ABC debate Tuesday night and just watched the images, you would come away feeling deep distaste for the haughty flibbertigibbet who kept pulling faces while Trump
But why
was
would you
speaking.
do that?
No, yeah, number one, why? What is the purpose of watching a debate if you're not going to listen to what they're saying? Number two, no, you would. You would see these two people and be like, ugh, that person on the right, they're just rude. I don't know. I don't think I would say. I would think
say
the whole
I
time,
need more context.
That person on the left must be saying some insane stuff
Some
to
bullshit.
elicit that reaction from the other person. That guy dressed like a fucking clown in self
In
tanner,
blackface? Yeah.
yeah, that guy up there in blackface. Obviously is saying some crazy stuff to that actual, woman of color on the other side of the screen. No wonder she keeps making these bewildered faces. He must be saying something bewildering. But I don't know. That's just me. I can't know for sure because, I'm not a weirdo that turned off the sound for a
I'd
presidential
come away
debate
with it
and just watched people's
being
faces.
like, I wonder what they said. That would be my reaction.
That would be my number one thought. Like, man,
Like, can
I
we put
really
the
wonder what
subtitles
they
on,
talked
or
about
what's the
for
deal?
2 hours. Yeah, Harris's split-screen pantomime made her seem unserious and unlikable. Disagree.
Also,
But I think
where was this-
The faces and all that is what makes Harris better, in my opinion.
And-
when she's not making the faces, the longer she goes, in my opinion, the more inauthentic she can feel, the more politician she can feel. It's like when she's reacting to something like this, she's like a real person, like something that you would know nothing about. Miranda Devine, she's a human being.
I use a GIF of Trump kind of often where he's like rolling
Yeah,
his
yeah.
eyes. It's like, bitch, you probably voted for that motherfucker that was saying that, like, using those kind of faces to people saying reasonable things. Like, not that Haitians
And,
are
acting
eating your
out-
dogs and stealing them from your
Yeah.
yard and gonna go to a kitten or whatever. Like,
Just steal your cats out of your backyard and throw them on the Weber grill, but it's like, and not only that, but yeah, to the guy who in 2016 made fun of a disabled reporter in that infamous clip. Yeah, he wasn't being too animated then. But I mean, it's just like to me, no, it's way more relatable.
Yeah, totally.
And real when a person looks flabbergasted at someone saying something crazy. Like, I don't know about you, Miranda Devine, but over here we're like human beings, you know, and we
You're like making the robot
communicate with. Yeah, we are human beings. We eat human being food, listen to human sounds, and watch human faces.
Yes.
But it's like we communicate with much more than just words. I mean, you talk to someone who turned the sound off for the debate. How about you go talk to a deaf person who engages in any sort of politics or watch the debate and ask them, okay?
Yeah.
Because people
they probably had,
read each other's faces.
the captions.
People read body language. Yeah, and that person probably knows more about what happened than you did. If this is how you came away. But, yeah,
But
in
if you
reality,
turn-
the novelty
yeah.
value is short-lived, and even the Taylor Swift demographic will come to see it as unbecoming. No, they won't. No, they won't.
Unbecoming, you know what? Unbecoming, that's sexist. That's a
Yes.
word that would never be used on a man. That is such like to me, like immediately,
Obviously
I'm
not,
like,
because Trump was president. Talk about unbecoming.
he was so becoming.
He was like talking about hand sizes and shit during the 2016 Republican debates. Talking about unbecoming. God.
Yeah.
It just says cool aunt, sure, but president.
She's
Nope.
a woman. How could she be?
Oh!
Yeah.
Last sentence. Margaret Thatcher, she is not. Thank you. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of came away from that feeling like she's kind of unserious. I mean, she's no Joseph Mengele.
No, you can't compare her to a man, Doug. That's why she got compared to Margaret Thatcher. You know?
Oh, yeah, because woman equals woman. And you can't be unbecoming as a woman. You have to be like a horrible semi-fascist white lady. That's what you need to be.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know what's really funny is
Your wiener.
funnier than that. The entire idea of that Reagan movie
Oh, yeah.
that's out right now. Oh, and you know,
Maybe we should
if
do
only
stream it and
if only I
commentate
could
it.
sneak in. The Pasco Fairchild Cinemas here is playing both the new God's Not Dead movie.
God's Not Dead
and-
4.
And they're playing the Am I Racist Matt Walsh documentary.
That shit looks awful.
Yes. Not only just because it's Matt Walsh, it just doesn't look entertaining either. It looks horrible.
He looks... God damn it. I would love to run into him in my life. I would
love to run into him with my car.
That's what I mean. Like, with my car. Like, while he's standing on the edge of something, so we could just... I could die happy and he could die.
Yeah.
You know?
So I could die happy and he could just die however.
Yeah, I don't really
whatever
care what
it takes.
happens to him or whatever.
All right, well, this episode's getting pulled from YouTube, but whatever.
It's Matt Walsh. He's that actor that we hate. YouTube, you hate him too.
Hey, YouTube, you know.
We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
Okay, well,
These people are sick.
I love you. It's time to say to ourselves and others.
Bitches leave.
And yeah, there's way more that we can talk about.
Shout out to
All
all
of our
you
tangents.
bitches out there, like
Thank
Humby
you for
and
talking to me.
Aaron
A lot of
Brown.
stuff is happening. All the people that I know personally come to Benton City Days this weekend.
Oh, yeah. And all you other
Let
people.
me dox myself real quick. Yeah, and all the people that I don't know that can't make it, and people that don't hear this episode,
Unsubscribe.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
or also,
Bitches leave.
but okay, yeah. Shout out to RM Brown. Shout out to Humby, and shout out to Mia, and what was I gonna play here? Oh, there we go.
That was a really nice one. Thanks, Inane Blather.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Oh my gosh! Wait, I want to shout it out right here that RM Brown shouted your Twitter comment out on his show. Umberto sent you a text of it.
He did say it.
He
Yeah.
did shout, like, you used
I
your
had my
comment as
1 second of fame. Yeah,
where you
And
said, like,
I'm-
dumbass.
It's like, yeah, that's all I said. I do that a lot on Twitter. It's just dumbass. but I was like, man, it's right on there. I have LeBron James in my
Yeah.
screen name, and he didn't mention that. But whatever. I talk to him on Twitter every once in a while because I'll at him.
I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I paused it and rewound it, and Umberto
Yeah.
and I were like, ah!
You're like, I've seen that. I've seen
my
that
God, oh my God,
profile picture before. Yes.
Demo.
Well, thanks, RM Brown. Even though,
It's because you're an honorless, lying little turd.
anyway,
Inane Blather. Inane Blather. Inane Blather. They should definitely not be with guns telling people what to do. These guys.
okay. All right. Love you. Bye.
Okay, I love you, bye.